Hey everyone, happy Friday and welcome to another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So today, Friday, I continued working on this beauty, the 64 here that's in for 64 sunroof, I might add, that's in for a complete front suspension and brakes and rear adjustable spring plates and then some wheel and tire upgrades. Gonna make this thing handle and look bitchin'. So people who follow the channel know that I'm installing an AirKewld Pro built beam on this car. And if you saw the episode yesterday, you know that I've had a lot of issues with this beam. This thing, I hate to use the word terrible, but there are so many issues with this beam. You can check yesterday's episode if I've piqued your curiosity and you didn't see it. But let me just kind of quickly go over some of the challenges that we've had with this beam. First off, since we're a shop that builds cars, and in some cases this car was already built, we're doing some pretty substantial modifications to it here, swapping out the whole front suspension. We don't trust anyone because at the end of the day, the car is coming out of our shop with work done on it, and we are therefore, pretty responsible that the owner is going to be happy and stuff like that. So again, the owner of this car purchased this beam pre-built from AirKewld, and I guess where I was kind of going with that was we don't necessarily trust anyone's work. So even though they built the beam and put it all together, I still wanted to just kind of pull it apart and take a look and make sure that it was up to our standards, which they're quite high. Anyway, so pulled it apart, and one of the first things that I noticed was that two of the four torsion arms, which are these things here, kind of the main part of the suspension, kind of analogous to like an A-arm on a modern car, except there's two of them on each side. Two of them wore very severely and completely outside of the wear range as per the Bentley manual, which is the gospel for these cars. One of them was out by 6 thou, the other was out by 12 thou, and they were oval, and 100% they would, if not immediately, eventually they would have wore the Delrin bushing in there, and they would have been flopping around and probably made noise. And it's just, I don't believe in selling people parts like that. In fact, I can show them to you again for people who didn't see the episode yesterday where I showed these. If you did see it, then bear with me for a second here. I'll try and move on. But here's one. So you can see if this stupid thing would focus. Yeah, so you can see how wore this thing is. So this one was out 12 thou, just like terrible, right? The other one, not quite as bad, was out 6 thou, pretty bad. So I was like, I'm not installing these things on the car. The owner of AirKewld, I called him, I talked to him, we had a chat. He tried to kind of do some what I would call hand waving and explain why that's okay. I didn't buy it. I'm an engineer and I've got a lot of experience, and I know that that's not okay. Anyway, so I pulled the owner's original beam apart and took out the two best arms of it and measured them, and they were within about a thousandth of an inch of the wear limit per Bentley. So much better than 6 thou and 12 thou. They had a little bit of wear on them, but they're fine. They're basically, unlike these, which are essentially wore oval, they're still round. I mean, within like a thousandth of an inch or so. So we cleaned those up. I had Jacob, who was in today, sandblasted them, and we painted them, and then those went on the car. So here, I'll show you here. So the ones without the little stars, so that's the one of the ones from AirKewld, which was fine actually. This one had little to no wear on it. So this is one that we replaced with one of the owner's ones. So again, clean it up, paint it, closest match that we had. And then likewise on the other side, it was the top one. So yeah, the top one here you can see without the little star in the middle. Star, yeah, this guy likes putting stars all over everything. Anyway, so yeah, that's the one we replaced it with. So much better. I mean, this is gonna last a long time. It's not gonna start clunking or anything because I refuse to install wore out parts on someone's car. So that was kind of the big thing. The other big thing, or two big things related to the shocks. One was that they didn't have adequate spacing between the shock and the shock tower, and the shocks 100% would have rubbed on the body right here. So I added a couple thick washers in here to move the shock out. I think they're both gonna clear now, albeit marginally. And then the other thing is this, which again, I showed all this yesterday, so sorry for those of you that this is redundant. This is a flathead. The head of it is on the opposite side of the shock tower, which means that once the beam is installed in the car, there's no way to hold this bolt from spinning if you want to remove the nut and remove the shock. So basically what I did was, and I already actually had this beam in the car, but I'm like, I can't live with this. So I pulled it out and I tack welded these flathead bolts into the beam from the backside here, and then, you know, repainted it and stuff like that. So now if the owner ever goes to change his shocks, he just has to, you know, essentially take this nut off, and this bolt will essentially act like a stud because it's welded on the back here. Anyway, long story short, took care of that issue. And so yeah, I mean, I think I made some actual improvements here because the shock's not going to be rubbing on the body now, and the owner can remove the shocks if he wants. I mean, I don't think that's asking for too much here. Anyway, some other small issues. I don't know that I mentioned this one yesterday. So the owner of the car bought the installation kit, which came with a lot of the stuff that you need. However, these are the pads that it came with. Anyone who's ever put a Beetle together will know exactly what these are. These go between the body here and the top of the beam here. These are like twice as thick as they're supposed to be. And I don't think there would be any way to put the car together with these because they're so thick that they would hold the beam down way too much that way. I don't know how you would even get the beam up into the sort of cradles here on the panhead that it sits in with these, because these again are like almost twice as thick as they're supposed to be, meaning that they would push the beam down that way because they go underneath this sheet metal deal here and the beam kind of up in there. So I don't understand how anyone would even use these. I actually started trying to use them, and there's like no way the beam was going in. So I actually pulled these out and put the original ones back in, which were actually in fine shape. And, you know, they don't really do a hell of a lot. They need to be there. But so, yeah, another kind of puzzling thing. How does anyone install these? I am really kind of baffled. One other thing, and I'm sorry, I feel like I'm just complaining a lot here, but I need to get this out of my system, is so he's got stickers all over these beams and brakes and stuff. This one is telling you to bed in the rotors, which is great advice. However, these stickers were stuck on the actual rotors, and these stickers are like a paperback sticker. So what happens is when you try and peel this thing off, this part kind of comes off, and then it leaves all this paper and stuff on the caliper. So here I am with like gasoline and a razor blade having to scrape the residue from this sticker off the brake rotor. Why would you just not use a sticker that was all vinyl or something that would peel off in one piece? Or maybe don't put a sticker right on the rotor. I don't know. There's some pretty baffling stuff going on here. Anyway, guys, I'm sorry. I really don't like to be so negative, but I've been kind of struggling with this thing for a couple days now. And I feel bad for the owner because he bought a fully assembled, you know, pro-built beam, which is supposed to be ready to put on his car. And then he's paying me to put it on. But I have had this beam completely apart a couple times. I've had it on the car once and then back off the car because I decided I just couldn't live with like those shock bolts and stuff. So, you know, he's essentially paying me to build something that he paid to have built from the manufacturer. So, you know, to replace wore out parts and what I would call design defects, quite frankly. Yeah. Anyway, so I am very glad that this part of the process is beyond me, because again, this thing has been super frustrating. This should be kind of an enjoyable process, but it's like at every turn, something was just wrong with it, or wore out, or not up to our standards. Another thing, one of the link pins are supposed to have, on these later cars, they're supposed to have 8 shims on each link pin. One link pin was short, like 3 or maybe 4 shims. Like, come on. Anyway, okay, rant off. I'm not ranting anymore. So anyway, what's left to do? Basically, I need to connect the brake lines. You see one dangling there, see the other one dangling there. This is all in. I reformed the brake lines to run to the new big dual circuit master cylinder, so that's all set. Reservoir's on. Need to fill it, hook the brake lines up, bleed the brakes, and that should be it. I need to obviously do like an alignment and stuff, and I have no idea how the height of this is set. I just kind of guessed and cranked it up some. Again, he doesn't want it like super slammed, but he definitely wants it low, and he wants the car to sit kind of level. So I just like cranked the adjusters to a starting point. I'm sure it'll be off. So I'll have to kind of fiddle around with that and get it to the right height. And then likewise for the back, we got non-dropped adjustable spring plates right there. So I'm going to set those initially probably about where it is, or a hair lower, and then set the adjusters about in the middle. So we'll have plenty of room to kind of dial in lowering it. But he doesn't want like, you know, the extreme camber look. I told him I'm probably going to dial in about 1.5 degrees of camber on the back, which should give him really good handling without causing a lot of excessive tire wear, and without having that kind of goofy look with the tire going in a lot and stuff. So, and then again, the goal is to have the car fairly level as far as its stance. So yeah, those are going to go on next. I got those today from Jason at AirKewld Vintage Works. Thanks, Jason, if you see this, for coming by and dropping those off. So yeah, that's next. And then once those are on, then, you know, I'll kind of be some back and forth here between adjusting the rear suspension and the front suspension to get everything sort of dialed in. And then wheels. So again, he's going to go with the Mobile Wagon Interceptors, which look a lot like original Porsche 356 wheels, but they're aluminum. And I think we're going to run a 5.5 front and back. I'm wanting to run a 195 on the front and a 205 in the back, a little bit of stagger on the tires, and get him some grip, because again, he wants this thing to be a canyon carver. So that's it for today, guys. Sorry again, especially for those of you that saw me kind of ranting about this beam yesterday, that I kind of reiterated a lot of that. I did before I installed it on the car too, and I had the beam sitting, I don't remember, it was on the ground or on a bench or something. I kind of went over it and filmed a kind of like a review of the beam, where I talk about a lot of this stuff that I talked about, because I think it's important to get that kind of out there, separate from the context of day in the life of vintage classic specialist. So I will be probably this weekend at some point posting my review of that beam and all the things that I did to fix it that were wrong, essentially. So look out for that, probably maybe Sunday, I'm not sure. And I am planning to come in for a little while tomorrow, so there should be a day in the life episode tomorrow. So watch for that too. Anyway, that's it for now, guys. Thank you for watching. Sorry again for a fairly long rant, but had to kind of get that off my chest. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.